Who am I? Well, who am I? The normal, rational reply would be, you are Barry Long, who's speaking. And every normal, rational person would agree. The reply is the fact. But it's not the truth. It's rational, but it's not logical. And the reason it's not logical is because it avoids the question. See or hear for yourself. Here's the question again. It's perfectly straightforward. Who am I? In 30 minutes, you'll know the answer. But this tape is not just to give you answers. It's to give you the solution. Answers are cheap, like a phone call to the weather center, and soon forgotten. The solution sticks to you, eventually becomes you, and then naturally is unforgettable. We are going right into the truth. We're not going to be just rational, like everybody is, and skate in circles around the surface of ourselves. We're going to be logical as well as rational. Being logical is simply facing first thing first. That will lead us straight to the truth. I'm going to make real for you in this next hour or so the final mystery of existence. I'm going to show you the living truth, the logical truth, the solution of living itself. This is the rarest knowledge on earth. It is fitting that it's happening here in the last recording in the Myth of Life series. It's not necessary to have heard the other cassettes in the series, but your sensitivity for receiving what follows will be more acute if you have. The Myth of Life series has been a journey through the human psyche, which forms our existence. The journey begins in the first tape with the descent into yourself through the stillness of right meditation. It proceeds in self-knowledge through the nature of truth, through the fact and truth of death, sexual love, right prayer, the world condition, the divine law or karma, and in this talk it ends with the mystery no longer a mystery, with you knowing so that you may eventually realize the living truth or the truth of your being. By having used the tapes in conjunction with your everyday life to journey down into yourself, travel through yourself so that you know yourself, you are now ready to rise above yourself and be that extraordinary state of energy or consciousness. That is your destiny, no matter how long it takes you. This rarest of all knowledge, I'm going to demonstrate in your own experience as an ordinary man or woman. That way, there can be no doubt about the truth of what I'm saying, and no chance of my misleading you, since you are an ordinary man or woman. It also means you'll have no trouble understanding me, because I speak in the common experience of being ordinary man or woman. There is one danger. That is, you won't listen to me simply as the man or woman you are. You're likely to start complicating yourself by getting clever. I'll explain. If you've had any scientific training, and who hasn't had a smattering these days, you may listen like a scientist. Or you may listen through some similar rational personality, acquired since you were born, overlaid on the simplicity of the ordinary man or woman you are. If you listen through that sort of complication, you won't hear the truth. Any kind of intellectual training or acquired learning tends to deaden our perception of truth. First sign of this will be if you start wanting to argue and quote experts. All very rational and reasonable, of course. But did you ever meet an expert man or woman? Not likely. All that I just said about clever or intellectual listening applies also to listening through religious belief. Truth can't be heard through any belief, religious or intellectual. Even to be an atheist and make a point of not believing is still religious belief. How about putting aside all you ever learned and believed and simply listen? As I say, you have to be logical to find the truth. And as strange as it may sound, no scientist, philosopher, learned person, or believer in anything is logical. If they were, the world would be populated with people who know the truth and have no problems. And you'd be one of them, wouldn't you? The difficulty is this. The world hasn't discovered the difference between being logical and being rational. Everyone, including the experts, uses rational logic. And rational logic is not logic. Logic is logic and puts first thing first. Rational logic puts second things first. That's what makes problems. Even the logicians are not logical. After 2,500 years of expert debate, since picking up the wrong end of the stick from the Greeks, they're still no closer to the truth. They're still arguing amongst themselves and making problems. Logic reveals the truth. And in revealing the truth, it eliminates all argument and problems. I'll give you an example. I'll demonstrate so there can be no argument. I'll be logical about you, putting first thing first, and second thing second. First thing, you are a woman or you are a man. Second thing, you are a scientist, a believer, a logician, or whatever some expert has called you on the certificate on the wall, or that you've got tucked away in the drawer. First thing first. Always. There are 3 steps in this talk. All are centered on the leading question, who am I? First step, I'll be talking to you generally about the truth. You'll notice we're already into that. In step 2, I'll be more precise and lead you steadily into the solution of the question, who am I? Finally, in step 3, I'll be showing you how in your daily life you can actually make the divine energy of consciousness or truth. Each step is a practical and down-to-earth exercise in self-knowledge. Self-knowledge is a much-used word these days. But what is self-knowledge? What actual experience does the word stand for? What I'm about to say is what's going to happen to you throughout this tape. So listen closely. It's what you're going to practice consciously recognizing in yourself for the rest of your life. Here it is. Self-knowledge is the amazing discovery of what you already know, but didn't realize you knew it. In short, self-knowledge is you being amazed by yourself. To amaze yourself now, and every time you hear this tape, all you have to do is listen and follow me in your own experience of living and being you. Although you'll hear many new things each time, you'll be astonished at how much of what I say confirms absolutely what you already knew or suspected, although you may never have expressed a word of it to anyone. A minute ago I mentioned the word divine energy. I use the word because the energy we're addressing is the energy of God. This is the energy of truth or consciousness in all matter and all matters. You and I, and all life, serve and are engaged in the play of the divine energy. The challenge for us as man or woman, the purpose of life, is to know this beyond doubt. And it is known by realizing the divine energy's supreme truth, beauty, and clarity as our own individual consciousness. In other words, as our own self-knowledge. Another thing about the word divine. This concerns the living power of the word. It's the power you're going to be using. Stay with me as I speak. Don't believe me or disbelieve me. Just listen and hear. Due to the influence of organized religions, the meaning of the word divine has been lost to the knowledge and experience of the vast majority of men and women. And with that knowledge has disappeared the power of the word to instantly transform, except for the very few. Such a state of affairs is, of course, outrageous. The power of the truth is for all men and women, not just the few. But once the worm of religious belief gets in, it starts the rot. The rot that subconsciously eats the truth and life out of existence for everybody. The inevitable result is today's civilization, frantic, confused, and discontented. The word divine stands for pure, practical action. Divine action to stop the rot. It's the action of divine being. This is not a divine being in the future or in some distant place. It's divine being as action here, now. It's you being divine. Before I go into this and you discover what you being divine means, you'll notice it contradicts the otherworldly divine being, a divine being, presented to us by organized religion. Religions are started and organized by priests, not by the originating master. The originating master knows and speaks the truth to the people of his time. Priests are ambitious or scholarly followers. They may be well-meaning. They have a feeling for the truth but don't know the truth. They are not original. Priests are distracted by miracles, mystification, and the need to dress up themselves, and to dress up the truth. They interpret the truth of the masters and believe their own fanciful interpretations. These they ceremoniously and dogmatically present to the people, misleading and confusing them. The otherworldly divine being of religions is a fiction of the priests. It's an abstraction. That is, it's a thought, abstracted from the reality of my being, your being, in this body, at this moment, here now. The religious thought is behind all the confusion and uncertainty about God or reality. It's as devoid of life as a picture or a statue. Any life you see or feel in it has to come from you. Out of the priestly ignorance has arisen the troublesome spectre of good old man God, he with the capital H, who has no reality whatever. Up there in his future heaven he sits, waiting to judge us sinners. Sinners? Another ghastly priestly invention. And who's up there with him? None other than his favourite saints or priests on either side, waiting to intercede for us. Today this may be a laughable concept for many, but the awful injustice and frightening threat of it, forced upon our childhood innocence and that of our children, is now deeply embedded in the subconscious. The subconscious is where everybody's personal doubts and fears lie hidden, waiting to rise and torment us again. The fictional divine being is too remote to be here this moment and every moment with the likes of you and me. It's too abstract, too choosy of saintly company. In trouble, I have to pray to it and wait for it to come, taking my chances that it will hear me or ever arrive. What sort of divine being is that? Notice that the God of the priests is not God enough or good enough to be responsible for all life on earth, the good and the bad, for every abortion, atrocity, tragedy, death, as well as for all joy, all birth, all beauty, the lot. Divine wholeness of being doesn't require a devil, a demon, or an anti-God to blame for its almighty actions. Divine wholeness is wholly responsible for its life on earth itself. This is only resolved in the realization now of my own beautiful being and consciousness in this body. There is no God outside my own being now. Every religion, every priest, every believer and follower studiously avoids this by avoiding the leading question, who am I? So what is divine being, divine action? It's you divining. You learning how to divine yourself like the water diviner divines the earth and finds the stream beneath. You have to divine the supreme energy of life beneath the surface of yourself. Since you are life, it's there. And in the same way as the water diviner uses the earth, you use your body, the nearest thing to the earth. Divine action is you doing it, not depending on some saint or savior to do it for you. The energy is in your body now and always has been, waiting for you to make the divine connection for yourself. My job is to inform you how this can be done in practice, without your having to believe in anything or anyone. I'm divining the energy of consciousness or truth here now, in this body, every moment. And by divine law or consequence, I'm willingly compelled to pass the knowledge on to anybody and everybody who can hear.